think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who want to fight me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Our goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all of the belts, all of the titles. Bodywork.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. Oh, I want to give y'all a couple seconds to take in the ambiance and all of that. It's just been a fair weekend in boxing, I would say. And been sitting back and watching the scene and, doing my homework while I rest and get ready for the next day, which starts my work week. So took a little time from the lives, but I've been putting out shorts and staying. That's one thing. If I'm not going to be doing lives, I will be putting out shorts and things like that, just to keep in touch and let y'all guys know that I am still, involved. It's just boxing sometimes. It just get to the point to where everywhere you go, people are just speaking like they shouldn't. And I'm just observing right now and just finding ways to appreciate boxing. Drawing from different things in the sport that I've come across over the years and reminding myself that it's nothing new under the sun, and there's nothing new in boxing either. So we've been through these things. We have these little laws. We have these little moments where everybody's hyped and spazzing out and saying, oh, this is going to be the best thing ever. And then it's womp, womp, womp. But there's always pluses and minuses. I'm not a Debbie Downer. I'm just making an observation because of all of the hype that we had, going into this weekend's fights with AB and Ben Whittaker, the Bomb and the Surgeon. And I could, I drew some positives and some negatives. I'm not going to steal any thunder or take any of my own thunder away. So this is not, this is really not a downer. This is more like when you got like a boxing hangover a little bit, where you was, you was hyper on something and you're crashing and you're feeling lethargic. I always say this is that fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. So we got to come in and, get your concentration back, get you focusing on what's right and exact when it comes down to the sport. So we're going to break it down and have some fun and, catch up on, latest topics in boxing. And hopefully you hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Hopefully you hitting the like button. Hopefully you just vibing out, man, in a good space, positive energy. Hopefully if you do chime in, you bring something good to the conversation. But I got one of the best co-hosts in the business, in the chef, AC. What's good with you, AC?
Man, everything's great, bro. Yeah, it was a great weekend of boxing and everything. I didn't get to catch like the full card, so I kind of just went back and watched the main event people and the co-mains, and Um, I didn't have any issues. It was good. It was good entertainment. Um, outside of that, uh, just enjoying the space that I'm in. Uh, I'll I'll say it like this: I found a solution to indoor urban farming using technology, because the technology is here right now, and man, listen, it'll give, if you put it down correctly, you are guaranteed a whole new level of where restaurants can actually go. And if this thing becomes the norm within the space I'm working in, and with out of the space I'm working in, then a lot of things can be dealt with, and a lot of food shortage situations can be answered. Not on that grand global level, but just as far as what your restaurant has to offer and what you can bring in without getting all complicated and a bunch of other stuff, because you're growing stuff on site. And that's my little community based nonprofit that I'm working on. So I'm pulling in an element like that. So I'm super excited to finally get the thought process of how to write it. Sometimes I don't know if people understand that you have a thought and you're saying to yourself, "Oh, just write it down." So you're writing the thought down, but you have to write it down in a way that someone agrees with you and they're willing to pay into it. That's when it's just like, how do I say this? How do I write this? And I would probably liken it to looking at a whole weekend of boxing, then saying, you know what, I'm gonna do a review on this, but I want the audience to be engaged and I want the audience to enjoy the content. How do I do this? Each show is different. It's gonna have its own dynamics based on the topic. So it's always a challenge, and I appreciate that challenge for the couple of times I got to do it. So yeah, I'm just ready to rock and roll with this one.
Word, well, it sounds like you definitely about to solve a lot of problems, man. I like the idea. So I'm happy for you, you know, that you're navigating your lane, you know, the way you should, man. It sounds good. Let me pull up these housekeepings real quick. Here we go. Number one, I'm stopping shop, says Ray Ford. And I kind of got to put my hand over my face, and I got to kind of laugh a little bit because I went to a fight, that Lucas Matisse fight. You didn't stop that guy. And I'm like, I guess you putting extra sauce on it. And we like to hear that kind of talk. It's just something that's like, I mean, I don't really see it that likely, and I have my reasons why, but I guess it's the way of marketing. And if he do, man, it'll be a new chapter. And all these guys got to fight, and they have to fight the fights. On paper, I don't see that happening. Me seeing Oshaka how he perform, I don't see that happening. Me watching Ray Ford live, I don't see that happening. And I believe that if he is anxious and aggressive like that, because when we seen that classic belt to ass from Oshaki when he put down on Fulton, he broke Fulton's will. And had Fulton still been like, okay, as long as I catch him, and he started like engaging with Oshaki like that, Oshaki would have stopped him. Fulton was he knew how to throw a punch and move and throw a punch and, you know what I'm saying, try to catch, you know, maybe every now and again. But the plus minus is ridiculous on that. And it was because he chose not to engage. He made a business decision during that fight. And I kind of see the same thing. Why? Because in a way, that fight when Boots fought Stan Giannis and Gilsall fought the same night, and Zaquin Moses fought that night. Richardson Hitchens was in the building. That fight in Atlantic City, you know, I looked at it and said Ray Ford made a business decision. And guess what? My hypothesis was right. Why? Because when they interviewed him right after the fight, he said, yeah, you know, I didn't want to get caught with nothing, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, nah. If you a finisher, if you a closer, you supposed to, you know, recognize if you one of them ones, you know, look, I could be jumping to a conclusion, but I'm gonna have to say that you gotta be one of them ones to stop O'Shaquie Foster. Why? Nobody has done it. He got some losses, but you know they were controversial. He got pickpocketed by Robson Conceição, and people want to mirror that when Shakur fought Conceição. But remember, Shakur blew weight. We got to consider that. So I don't see it, and I have my reasons why. And it's a segment that I'm looking at, but because I don't want to just chitter chatter with you, I want to give you something that you can put in your rucksack and march on with. This is O'Shaquie's plus minus differential over his last 3 fights. Stephen Fulton, a plus 135. A plus 135. And you're probably thinking about your favorite fighter in his last fight and what that was. It was up there. It was in the 90s. It wasn't a plus 135 against the caliber of a guy like Stephen Fulton, who's fought multiple champions. He beat Figueroa, who knocked out Nick Barr, who Ray Ford got edged out, got outworked. There was some things, you know, that was going on. It was a short turnaround and all that. I take all that in consideration because I do rock with Ray Ford. I don't like the fact that he's an extended Brat Pack member, which makes me, you know, probably dig a little bit deeper. But against Robson Conceição, he's not that easy to hit. You know, he can box. He's from Brazil. He was an Olympian. A plus 33 on him. Abraham Nova, plus 20 to plus 40. So overall, his plus minus ratio is like he don't get hit. If I had to put it down like in the way that for everybody to understand, O'Shaquie is great at delivering damage to anybody he faced, where he don't really receive none. Shakur, his ability is to control. So when you think about him, when you think, and O'Shaquie is a switch hitter. He's ambidextrous, so he can box southpaw or orthodox. His production never drops off, and his meaning that he's not a liability, because certain people are more dangerous in the southpaw stance, like Bud, offensively, but he's a defensive liability in a sense, because when he's in orthodox, his defense is a little bit better. There is no drop off on O'Shaquie either side. So in these fights, his plus minus is that way, where he's hitting and delivering damage no matter the level of opponent. Shakur has found an ability to control the action no matter the opponent. So that's the comparison, even though they're both defensive wizards. Because remember, the night when O'Shaquie got pickpocketed by Robson Conceição because of the business of boxing, when he really won that fight, Wally Moses was in Shakur's corner saying, "Hey, man, stop playing with this guy. You just seen what they did to O'Shaquie." As in, we all saw O'Shaquie win that fight, but the business of boxing dictated, and they was fighting the same fight. Teflon Don, defensive specialist, don't get hit and hit, the fencing style. That's when I think in going through that, just like Jermell going through that with Tony Harrison, I think that it makes them better when they come back and they look at film and they frustrated saying, "Listen, I missed this, I missed that." I think that pickpocket did wonders for O'Shaquie, and I don't see Ray Ford stopping O'Shaquie. Actually, I see if he get too aggressive You know, he get too willy-nilly, his eyes are a little bit too big for his stomach, he might be the one that getting stopped. You know, that's how I see it. So I wanted to put that out there. The second one, classless Clarissa strikes a gang. And it's odd, you know, that people would condone like what she's saying and doing. I understand pretty much her popping her noise with Alicia. I didn't agree with it, and I was one of the original ones when she first started going. I'm like, why are y'all even talking about that? You're not gonna go down to her weight class. You're gonna want her to put like, it was all this stuff that it was sounding like quackish, even though that's kind of weird to say because of all the things she's done. But it's a smaller pond in the women's boxing, and that's why I kind of step back, because it's even more politics in women's boxing. People are more concerned with how these women look than, I mean, they do. These conversations rise in basketball as well, saying that they need a spark. And yeah, people like watching beautiful women, period. Beautiful athletic women, they do like that. But people go overboard with all of that and all this, and it's like the minute you try to check them, it's like, oh, how you gonna say that about a woman? It's like, okay, well, we can't. That's why I don't even like talking boxing like that, especially if especially when politics get infused into it. It's irritating. So, but I knew that when Alicia and Clarissa were going back and forth, that was a fight we were never going to get. One's too big-headed and feel like she already done everything she needed to do, which she probably has. She's working on another career and all that, okay, cool, fine. The other one was just too small. So they would have to really want it. It would have to be like, oh man, we're going to pay all of the whatever. It could be like Terrence jumping up to fight Bud. It could be, but I don't have Alicia being like that. So I understand her doing that with Alicia. What I don't understand is there's a history between Clarissa Shields and Shadeja, the Sweet Terminator Green. There's a history there to where they actually fell out because Shadeja went and sparred with somebody who was actually paying her, going to give her the experience, but was also paying her, and she wasn't getting paid like that when she was going over there with Clarissa. That's one thing that stung. It's something that I didn't really want to talk about, but they used to be friends. And Clarissa used that as an opportunity to say, oh, you betrayed me because you helping her spar and all that, and took it all personal. It's like, well, I mean, I'm not cracking like that. I'm not really getting paid. I done helped you spar. We friends. I can't go get a bag. I'm not at the status where I can pick, choose, and refuse and not spar. There's a history between them. I don't talk about Clarissa because people try to act like they get on cold for it. And I'm like, man, we can't do that. If somebody don't have no class, they don't have no class. And if you agree with that, I mean, you don't have no class. But for her to take digs and all that, it's like, man, you know what? I was right in the midst of, I literally had the thumbnail. I had what I was going to say. I was literally, all I had to do was hit submit on the YouTube. As soon as I saw it happen. And some said, hold on, Mike, don't do it. Don't hit send. I didn't hit send. And the girl went out on the stretcher. I mean, the woman went out on the stretcher. Now, people are going to clown and say, hey, man, listen, you overpromise, way under-delivered, you got stopped. They're going to clown. They're going to do whatever because we do it with them all. So you didn't handle your business. You got stopped. You got knocked out. So that's a harsh reality. But when it comes down to knowing that, that's the other thing. It's a woman. And she went out on a stretcher. She still got to feed her family. And at the end of the day, we love knockouts, but we still value, So for her to have a history, it just shows that, like, she's going right along the line of just having no class at all. And she's further in that path. Being a rapper and all this other stuff and just, just the imagery and all of that. It's just, she just strikes again, and she's the gift that keeps on giving. So if I was like these other people that, love to make content about that, I probably get way more super chats and cash apps and all of that. but I don't. This is only relevant because I'm highlighting that she don't have no class, man. That's why when I did that whole unrecognized, when I was saying, do you recognize our Olympians? When you look at Clarissa, when you look at Keyshawn, when you listen to all of the 1,000, 2,000, 20, 11,000 videos and interviews that Shakur did, like, do you even recognize them? You got gold medals, silver medals. Do you even recognize them in their behavior? If the youth, yeah, and accolades and all that, okay, cool. But when you look at the moves and how they were maneuvered and how Top Rank died and had, in a small pond, like, it's easy to kind of move them pieces. It's not easy to win in the ring. Don't get it misconstrued. But can you recognize our Olympians? And for her to be the woman that's leading the class, I mean, she's like right up there with what's her name, Sexy Red, and the what they call them, the City Girls, whatever. She's falling right in line with that. And why? Why represent us like that? Why be like that? And then that's your sister, man. Like, yeah, you can pop your stuff, and yeah, I mean, you can say, yeah, you messed up the bag. Yeah, she messed up the bag. She got knocked out. Okay, cool. But dang, that was serious. Now, Shadeja does say she is recovering, and she's gonna be back and better, all of that, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I'll just save my whole ordeal on Shadeja, for some other time. Because, I kind of felt this. Right before the fight started, I said, man, this is the only thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna leave it right here. Right before the fight started, I told my lady, I was like, yeah, man, I said, this supposed to be Shadeja's moment to where she can put really everybody on notice. Now, she did when she won the belt, turned that corner. I'm glad they made the right decision in that fight. I totally agree with it. I was proud of her. But right before the fight started, I was talking to my lady, and I was like, yeah, I think she kind of like knowing that this is women boxing, and she kind of just, I said she was kind of like milking it. I said that right before the fight started. She had moments in that fight, and then it was almost like she made a decision. Maybe it's one of them Mike Tyson things. Everybody have a plan until they get hit in the face. Maybe that was the case. You no say. But that's my thoughts on that. And I think that Clarissa, man, I mean, they say don't kick somebody when they down. Because everybody was talking about, oh man, when that Ryan started, oh, you want to kick him when he down? I mean, trying to say all this nonsense. But you talking about kicking somebody when they down. Down in that manner, like the same way. This is like, people, they pick, choose, and refuse when their moral compass want to be right and when they want to be wrong. But they can say whatever they want about Tank going through some legal stuff, but they have nothing to say about Clarissa and this shenanigans that she's doing and how she's handling this whole thing, especially as it pertains to Shadeja Green. And I'll land right there. The last one. Hashtag blame Al still in effect. It's actually still in full effect. I was doing my homework and looking at things and watching and, trying to see who's going to give a rebuttal or response to this whole thing about, Devin Duck and Rolly. And of course, since I pay dues over there at the Boxing Voice, because I can't be a hypocrite in that manner. It's like, okay, let me be a member and pay my, so you can't say nothing because I'm a member. I pay, like, you know what I'm saying? Same way if I, when I do members, I would want somebody to pay whatever, have whatever perks or whatever, I get those. So say what you want about me, because I'm damn sure going to say what I want about you. And it was wild because one of the callers that called in, and the callers be telling the truth. The callers be hitting that main vein, you know what I'm saying? The caller called in and said, aside from Ryan, because I call that game 8, in a necessary rematch. That's the rematch of all rematches right now. And that's the one that has the biggest, best implications. It'll be a unification. It's game 8. You know what I'm saying? 6 in the amateurs, 1 in the pros. And this is with all the things swirling. That's like a no-brainer. You don't even got to add water. Just make the fight. If we didn't get that, who would be the best? Because there was all this scouting. It was, could it be Xander? Would it be Keyshawn? You know, all of these different names. Crocker. Like, for what? Like, all these different names. Rolly made the best sense, but when Rolly beat Ryan, they took up on Jamal. I'm gonna keep reminding people, they took up all over Jamal because they were saying he was a drunk and all this, because he told Rolly the next fight for you would be Devin. That would make you take off. They on Rolly and called him whatever, all kind of names, blah blah blah. Devin go through the whole A-side problem thing, to where I don't know how A-side like him can't get a fight with all these options. He's the man. He's on Mount Rushmore. He's the second coming of Floyd. All the other hyperbole that they add to that. Rolly was the man. So after exhausting all these options or whatever, and entertaining all these different names, doing all this, putting up all this linguini, they come back around to Rolly, and guess what? The B-side sends the offer. So Rolly sends the offer, and guess what? For the first time ever, the first thing we hear back from, not from Bill, from Devin, was the money. We always hear from Bill, but Devin said the money was right. Only to, if you want to just take a pause in time and fast forward to us not getting the fight, and why, he come out and say the money wasn't right. And people let him slide. And you know what the boxing voice said? You know what Ness said? Man, ain't nobody gonna sign no slave contracts they got over there with Al and PBC and them. I'm like, man, hashtag blame. When he's made the most lucrative fights. Before the Canelo fight, that was Bud's highest payday. He made Earl, Tank, Canelo. David was getting bread. David ain't complaining about bread. Like, even though he was trying to get that Canelo fight, David ain't been complaining about no bread. So many different stars. Leo Santa Cruz named his son after him. People was getting bread. Nobody ain't ever complained. No, I've never. Lamont Roach, he's fine. He's doing quite all right. But all of a sudden now, because Devin wanted to turn down a Rolly fight, and that's a unification. And we see the landscape of Turkey, you know what I'm saying? It look like the turkey bag. The purse is closed. Get off my purse, boy. No, can't get nothing from the dollar store. Not today. No, it's over. And now it's going back to Al and the PBC and them got slave contract. I was like, you know, the first thing I said, it's funny how they always use that, just like gangbanging is affiliated. Oh, you want to gangbang for the PBC, but they don't say you want to gangbang for Matchroom. They don't say you want to gangbang for Golden Boy. They don't say you want to gangbang for Pro Box. They don't say that. That only connotation that's used in is when it references the PBC. You know what other connotation is? The slave contract. And ironically, they want to run over to who? The Saudis. Talking about slave contracts. Oh, the irony, man. Oh, the irony, man. That's why I say, man, I don't respect certain people. I don't respect them. I respect some of the things they do, like the work ethic and all that, because I could say he's probably the hardest working man in the boxing entertainment. I could probably say that, and I always give him credit for that. And he do provide a lot of information when he's actually interviewing these fighters. And if the fighters are not, you know, on some kind of agenda or whatever, that's like the most valuable part. But I don't respect him because he don't respect us. He don't. That shit is deeply seated, deeply rooted, and I'm, you know, it baffles me how people don't ever point that out. But silence is consent, and we're gonna say something about it. That is the housekeeping. Where you want to start at with that, AC?
Let's start off with the whole blame Al situation. That's what you see in other situations where people just don't want to take accountability for the thing that they support. So you find the other, and then you otherize the other. And once you start the process of otherizing, then you created the long-lasting narrative. The narrative that just keeps on giving as long as you can find the slither of relevancy. If you're going to talk about a promotional group, then yeah, you could take the dig behind that. You can take a stab at this. If you want to talk about why fights haven't gotten made and, the state of American boxing, then yeah, you can, run to that liver and take a stab at it again. So that's what the media will do. Just like when, and I don't want to bring it up like that, but when sometimes people talk about politics, they always want to blame Obama. Well, if you go back all the way to Obama, like Obama was the first and last president. So you just look at it and say to yourself, it's like, what's your point? Like, where does this plane land? At what field? Okay, I hear what you're saying, so I'm gonna put this to you right now and put you on the spot. Can you be solution oriented and tell me the solution to the bullshit you talking about? Because if you want to blame them, then there has to be a solution somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So if they can't do that, then you ought to. It's just a bunch of dumb nonsense you talking. Clarissa Shields, I get it. You want to keep your name relevant. I get where you're putting yourself in that position, to whereas you're the face of female boxing. I seriously doubt that anyone can make a argument against why you're not the female face of boxing. So I get that part. But you have to be careful, because there are people that are chasing you. They may not reach your legacy because of timing. Like when you came in, all the greats were old. And this is where people can give Mike Tyson a knock on his run and his career. Like, you were right there in this weird space where everyone who was relevant was plus 30 something, or looking at the tail ends of their careers, or whatever the case may be. But like I always say, and I got to keep the same energy, somebody has to retire all of these people. Somebody got to get them out the way, otherwise they'll still be there. I just saw something that was weird yesterday where it had this guy, and I believe he's at the 175-pound division, and this dude is 51 years old. And I was like, no, I'm not looking at nothing as crazy as that. So with that being said, somebody has to retire these people. Look at Povetkin. Povetkin was still around. So someone has to do it. And on that, within doing that, you build up a cachet for yourself. You got all the names. You know what I'm saying? Could the Canelo that beat Shane Mosley beat the Mosley that fought Mayorga, or prior to that? So then you ask yourself, all right, it's timing. Could Terence Crawford beat the Canelo that fought Floyd Mayweather? Could he beat the Canelo that fought Triple G? So these questions are legitimate questions to ask. It's not hating. So Clarissa, we understand the beef between you and AB. She was hot and brash. You're trying to be like, slow down, Shorts. This was my lane. I'm gonna be that chick right now. So you need to slow down. But AB was I don't care about you. I run my own path. I'm not trying to make a name off of me fighting Layla Ali. I'm telling all of these chicks around me, if you wanna get it in, we could get it in. Just don't talk just don't get out of pocket. Clarissa, you just wanted to come in and fight anything and everybody. And that's where people be like, slow down, shorts. Be easy. You all ready to face a female boxing? What is all this extra shit for? You know? None of that's necessary. So at the end of the day, you can criticize Alicia Baumgartner because you want to be supporting your girl, and we already know what's going on with your relationship with Caroline. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you know, AB is a problem, in my opinion. Caroline is a problem, in my opinion. That's why I want to see that fight bad as hell. But for you to come in and try to shit on it, you're not doing anything. Right now, you wanted to fight with Franchon, and that didn't necessarily go her way. But the girl who beat her, you beat already. So, would a rematch be on call? She got the belt, she got the ring. It's another ring magazine for you. I don't know, shorty. It's up to you. So, mind what you say and mind what you do, because that style that she beat old girl with might be that type of ugly, keep my head in your chest, you know, bad version of Errol Spence style that could beat you. That was like Mayorga / Errol Spence / Shorty all mixed into one.
Yeah.
So, you know, as far as Ray Ford, I'm just gonna keep it real simple. Oh, that's so cute. That is real cute, Ray. I hear you, man. You gotta believe in something. You know, it's like you believe in one day you're gonna be 6'4" and dunking. Go ahead, bro. Believe what you want to believe, man. That's the guy that has 6 numbers. He played every lotto. Like I'm telling you, one day this shit gonna hit. One day it's gonna hit. When it hit, I'm telling all y'all, you know, kiss my ass. There ain't none of y'all believe me. Okay, believe what you want to believe, bro. But at least you're doing something. You putting your dollar where your mouth is. So I respect that. And Ray, you already wrote that check. You put it out there. Now you gonna stop it. Okay. Okay, if that's how you gonna settle a fight, by saying you gonna stop him, hey, brilliant strategy. Brilliant strategy, because everyone who's like really vibing with the Brat Pack right now, let's just look at it like this. Keyshawn said he was gonna stop his opponent. He stopped his opponent. Shakur said he was gonna stop his opponent. He did not stop his opponent. You're claiming you're going to stop your opponent. We got to see. So that's the way that record goes. And that's where I land that plane.
Yeah. Only thing I would add is I'm ready for Clarissa to get back to the main thing being the main thing. And that's boxing. And that's fighting the fights. It's, you know, we got to deal with this with the men, where they find these odd reasons why they don't want to fight, and you know they can kind of do a lot of things. There's like 7-8 different ways that they can actually duck and all their fans be like, oh, and they'll justify the reasoning, but it's a duck. It's a specific kind of duck. You know, it's not a black duck, which is straight fear. But in a lot of cases, it is. Sometimes it's fear of loss and fearing of getting embarrassed, fearing of losing out on all of this relevancy, because that's the new drug. So I'm just ready for Clarissa Shields to get back to boxing and boxing the fighters that we want to see. There's a couple people that I wouldn't mind seeing her in there, but like she don't even want to entertain them. And that's one of them. This could have been you, girl. That could have been you. If that girl did it, you know, but that girl, I mean, why wouldn't you be one? That's what I be saying, man. I'll show her that she ain't, you know, I will go ahead and go back, you know what I'm saying, and do that. I would revisit that. There's some value in that. We got to see what happened with Clarissa, but I'm ready for Clarissa. I mean, we got to see what happened with Jadeja bouncing back, but I'm ready for Clarissa to get back focused, get back doing GWOAT type things, and you know, fighting, because it's not like it was, like AC said when she came in, how Layla was, you know, she was so far gone that it wouldn't even have made sense. Like all of the threats wasn't there. She kind of went through the same thing with Deontay Wilder. And when I pointed out, I was saying that people were saying I was a hater, but I'm like, man, this era ain't really what it's like. I'm not taking credit from the knockouts, but like, come on, man, this is not the era when we had Tyson and Holyfield and Lennox and like, you know, Buster Douglas and Riddick Bowe. It's not, you know, it just is what it is. It's no knock on, you can't help it. It's like, you know, when you were born, you can't help the time when you were born. Like, I mean, so she came in that, but now there are some viable people out there that she can fight. I'm ready for her to show the energy, you know, that you need to the people that need it and make the fights. You know, I mean, I would say prima donna, but I mean, you can't really say that. It don't really apply because people saying she's already done enough. And there are young people that's looking up to her that's going to try to move that way and act that way. And they're going to take it probably further. You know, if I were to make a educated guess. But that's all I'll, you know, reply to. And it's just that owl thing. It's just silly to me. You know, that PBC get that, even though their track record says the total opposite. But I know people came for the meat and the potatoes. And this past week, you know, I was out here listening to people and all that. I kind of stepped back from it. I kind of stepped back from Ben, even though my stepfather liked him, so I stay abreast of him in that way and what he got going on. I think that time when he fell out the ring, I think that was something we needed to pay attention to, even though he came back, redeemed himself. But I was hearing a lot of people, and I would say it is, in my opinion, it's slight hyperbole about Alicia. For me, I'm gonna stick to my guns and say I don't know if that power is powering the way it was, you know, at once upon a time. And I'm not insinuating nothing, but I don't even like talking about it. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped talking about women's boxing, because I seen how Conor Ben was treated, you know, with his situation, and I seen how Alicia was treated with her situation. And I heard somebody try to ask that question: has anybody looked the same? Blah blah blah. We've done that. That was the major talking point about all of these people, except for Ryan. He came back. He still dropped Mario Barrios, so he still looked like he still had the same, like, you know, it didn't look like there was no drop off there. He didn't step on the gas, but he fought more patient. He fought smart. So it's like you can't say anything about that performance that he did with Mario Barrios. Knocked him on his keister, made him put his hands in his pocket, busted him up, you know, did it with class. Can't say that. You know, AB and Conor Ben, it's up for debate. And I'm like, you know, it's good to see a nice looking woman that can box, you know, and have charisma and all of that, and can talk a little bit of noise or whatever. That's cool. I don't get carried away by the looks, because it's like, it seems kind of weird in this boxing space Eye candy is eye candy. And when you see women's boxing, when you see women's basketball, women's volleyball, all those, yeah, it's an element of that. But that shouldn't overshadow the talent, because that's what we look at. And a lot of people was saying, I seen one crazy comment where somebody said Alicia should go back to Tony Harrison. I'm like, man, Tony Harrison is punch drunk right now. He's already punch drunk. He's slurring and he's saying some weirdo type stuff. The stuff he said to Mel, I'm like, man, you got hit in your head that hard? Well, you see that man in the dress and y'all would want her to leave Derrick James? It's like, no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that, because a lot of people just on Derrick James because of Errol Spence and his affiliation with, him and Charlo. But Derrick James is a wonderful coach. He did wonders for Frank when he had him. He did wonders for Earl up until the Bud fight. He's done wonders for Ryan. He helped turn AJ around and, made him, more technically sound. He's done some things in the sport for some people. And in my evaluation of Alicia, I say she did what she needed to, do. I think that she was in trouble a couple times. She has a mean poker face. I'll give you that. She's a tough cookie. I'll give you that. But that girl hit her a lot of times. And that girl wasn't that technically sound. She could just punch and take a punch. But I would grade the performance. I would say a C. I give it a C, a high C, closer to a B. And the reason why I would give her closer to a B is because she's doing the 3-minute rounds thing. That's nothing easy for the women to do. So she's doing it for 3 rounds, and she managed to do it after she got visibly hurt a couple times, in my opinion. And that girl was on the verge of doing something to her that we wouldn't have wanted to see. But I guess I was somewhat impressed with some of the things she did defensively. I was impressed with her more in spurts, some of those defensive moves. Just like when I seen Caroline, some of them bobs and them weaving, how she was, they was both doing a lot of that. And then her footwork, I'm like, man, I gotta take note when you got somebody that's coming and, thinking and moving like that. I was impressed with that. But it's one of them things where when somebody be like, oh my gosh, you gotta see this movie, it's the best movie, man. Like, man, I'm trying to tell you, man, it's gonna be your favorite movie, man. I had to watch it 3 times when I first watched it. It's like you hear all of that, and then you get to the fight, and you're like, wow. And it's not like it wasn't a good, solid performance. It wasn't like she didn't do her thing. But for me, it kind of didn't live up to the hype going into it, but it was worth watching. I would say Jamal Harvey from Oxon Hill, I see him again. That dude dangerous. I hope he settles down a little bit, like, because he's eager and he wanna get you up out of there. He's ambidextrous. That was probably like the highlight. And I want to say, I thought it was on that card, but it's I think he's from Latvia. The guy who came out with the Bane mask. The guy who came out with that Bane mask on. That was that knockout was impressive from him. I'm like, that dude is dangerous. And he got the attitude, and he's funny. He's gonna resonate with fans. That dude's gonna go far. If you don't know nothing happened to him and he stays active, we're gonna be talking about him. I don't know if he's a world beater, but he definitely he's gonna make some noise. I believe that was the heavyweight division. Ben Whittaker, he did what he was supposed to do. And afterwards, he threw water on the fight that we would like, just like Alicia threw water on the fight that we would like with Caroline. She basically saying, listen, I ain't, the not looking back game. She's playing the I'm not looking back game. And I'm like, women's boxing is a smaller pond. You can't do that. Ben Whittaker said the same thing about the talented Mr. David Morrell. He said, well, I'm not calling these guys out, and these guys are calling me out. So that says a lot. I'm not looking to fight him. I am looking to go to the States and all that. And guess what? Eddie is right beside him. So when Eddie said, yeah, you know, what he says to Xander, hey, I wouldn't make that fight. Eddie was right beside Ben Whittaker. And they say they're developing him and they're bringing him along. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, you do get your time to develop and all that. But, like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be the best thing since sliced bread and then he need 9 tune-ups, an oil change, new windshield wiper. Like, come on, man. No. But Eddie is right beside him, so that's one more time where Eddie doubles down. This is why I say we be following the bouncing ball all along and watching them. So yes, they shined and then immediately threw shade on the people that we would want to see them in the ring with. And so I was saying, man, what do hype juice to give you heartburn? Because you sit back and like, man, I kind of wanted more, even though it gave us something this weekend. So you got hunger pain. You need to be rehydrated because you like, man, I thought I was gonna get more than this. You exerted made sure you was front and center, you know, didn't have nothing to do, you was watching it. And energy crash. You kind of like, man, like, I'm gonna go ahead and get some rest. This was like kind of like I stayed up this late. That card was so late. I was like, man, this is a late ass card. But overall, I'll give the overall card, I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B, a straight B, that MVP card. I'll give that a B. And I don't know, man. Are y'all buying or are y'all selling on Ben and AB? And that's what I got on that to open this one up, AC.
For me, I'm in the space of buying. Looking at Ben Whittaker, you could see things. I mean, he's a two-time not a two-time. He's a silver Olympian medalist. So he's in the amateur sport at the elite level. So for me, there's something to bring to the table. I think the biggest knock to where people are not 100% sold on him is his introduction. He comes in, doing the Emmanuel Augustus impersonations and stuff like that, and was looking like, wow. But even for me, while I was looking at it, I was trying to show people, if you're looking at what he's doing in certain instances, that's a high level bit of athleticism. Like, this kid looked like he could have been a soccer player or AK football player over there. Put some more weight and have him work out more. He might have been a great rugby athlete or cricket athlete or anything. It just looks like there was so much available for him. He kind of looks like, he might have been good with MMA if he took on martial arts early on and stuff like that. He just has that athletic frame. What I was impressed was his laser focus. He came out, that jab was a piston and it was fast. The crazy thing was he hit dude cleanly. That shot was clean as I don't know what. And the dude tapped the back of his head after he went down and then rolled over and was like, trying to be like, oh my God, I'm dying. To try to get, I'm like, what were you trying to do? There was no way he was going to win that fight. That dude, hand speed, his accuracy was all there. He was destroying your body early, upstairs and downstairs. Double hook to the body and then finish with a hook up top. I was like, man, yeah. Now, here's my biggest caveat with all this hyperbole I just said about him. He claimed that fight was a step up. And I'm like, okay. If I go to the corner store and buy a can of tomato soup, then I go to BJ's wholesaler and buy a can of tomato soup, guess what? They're both a can of soup, but one is much, much more bigger. It's meant to feed more people. But it doesn't take from the matter that that step up was just a step up in size. You fought the economy size of a tomato can. I don't believe by any means necessary that guy was a step up for you, Ben Whittaker, not a silver medalist. Don't sell me on that. Your brash cockiness, you may be trying to do your best impression of I don't know who in UK boxing, because normally most UK boxers are a bit more reserved. Your brash attitudes. I think the last one that was there, that was on it like that, was Billy Joe Saunders. And if you're gonna go out like a Billy Joe Saunders, then it might be smart the fact that you're not looking to face a true step up in why am I forgetting the Cuban fighter's name?
Iglesias?
David Morrell.
Morrell? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, to me, that's the perfect fight for you. I think you have the boxing skills to whereas you and Morrell may negate each other out, because Morrell's never got to that elite level in the amateurs like you have. Then it just comes down to where you two guys are as professionals. I give you the edge in the amateurs, but where you two guys are as professionals, that's a bit different. Morrell's path was, I'm going to fight, some of these tough guys. So within that space, it's like, hey, David Morrell's path, you could give him respect on it. Yours, we're looking at what people would consider the top-ranked diet. Be careful in your words. Know that they're moving you. Embrace that part, not the part of you just trying to come out and say, I'm Superman right now. I'm the entire X-Men team because look at the X on my chest. That's not where it's at. Give us a couple of tough fights, and I'm asking for it right now because I think you have the skill set. You have 13 fights in. Now the time to really, really turn it up. You know what I'm saying? And then, you get the rest of the world behind you. I see the talent. I'm only asking now, you show everybody else what I already see. And many of your other fans already see. Alicia Baumgartner, I'm buying. She fights like, when I look at her style and the way her stance and everything, you fight like a dude that knows how to fight. When you look at Shadeja Green, she's holding a Philly shell, but you holding it like a girl would hold a Philly shell. You still have that girlish thing that makes me still see you as that. When I look at Alicia Baumgartner, I can picture a dude being in that same stance. I could see how you throw your jab, and I'm like, yo, this chick has all the tangibles. I don't, I hope, and I didn't really realize that Derek James was her new coach, but if he can build upon what she has in that sense, I really don't see a lot of females beating her. I would have trouble at her weight class thinking of any female that can beat her. And with Derek James is going to show her, I guess, maybe the elite level of fundamentals to add into your already athleticism and your already, pre-developed ring IQ. The tutelage of Derek James is just going to now put everything in a nice little complete package. Yes, you were hit in this fight, and normally it takes a couple of fights for a fighter to really get acclimated to their new coach. It's different voices. It's a whole different level of things. It's, you know, are you the person that shows up early to the gym and it's all about, yeah, coach, yeah, coach, yeah, coach. You know what I'm saying? Are you the sponge? So with that being said, I'm not too critical on that part, because I'm giving you a little bit of leeway, just like I gave the leeway with AJ, just like I gave the leeway with many other people, and I'll give the leeway even with Brian Norman. I'm not expecting Brian Norman under his new coach to just come out and just be like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, it's gonna take maybe 1 or 2 fights. Maybe it might happen in between the fight. They find that little thing that gels. Like when you were in school and you finally got that problem and you got those little bit of goosebumps that you like, I got it before everybody else. They all struggling with it, but I got it. And that's the moment I'll be looking for all of these fighters who I like, but now are dealing with different coaches and looking at different dynamics or phase 2 of their career. Because to me, moving to a new coach is a whole new phase. So yeah, that's the way I see it. I'm buying on both accounts. I can see the potential there, and that's where the excitement lies for me.
So you buying both. So with AB, I mean, yeah, let's start with AB then. With her, if it's no Dubois, and more than likely, you know, I think I ain't gonna say it's impossible for her to get Katie Taylor. And I'm not sure how that fight goes with Katie headbutt Taylor. You know, I'm not sure, like, for Alicia. But if no Dubois and she's saying she wants Katie Taylor, then, like, you know anybody you might want to see AB in there with next? Because she don't want Dubois. She says she's not looking back, and she wants Katie Taylor, but I don't think she's getting that.
If I were to see the Katie Taylor fight, and let's just say somehow or another that gets made in a decent world or whatever, I'm gonna say this. She showed that lead hand control. That's gonna be her key. In that, the Derrick James I'm looking at, the Derrick James that I know, he's gonna do his own little personal film study and say, all right, when she tries to get in close, you're gonna probe and then try to shoot that uppercut and step out. I think that's the one thing he was trying to show Errol as Bud was trying to close in with his jab. Parry off the side, shoot it, and step out. So I think that might happen. What the disappointing part was downplaying Caroline Dubois. Yes, she may be a little bit younger as far as experience goes versus you, but a male pride lion is not aware of the schedule of young lions that's going to try him. They just going to keep coming out of nowhere, and he just doesn't have that opportunity to back down. And when it comes down to the females, you know what I'm saying? You don't know the schedule of your sisters and the other chicks in the pride that's trying to take your spot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to knock them chicks down as well. And in that pride line, if you that pride type lion, you know, you see females scrap and the males just be sitting over there like, yep, I ain't involved in that one right there. Let them chicks decide that out for themselves. You know what I'm saying? So in my opinion, because the pool is so small, you don't have that opportunity. I hope you change your mind. I hope, you know, even though I'm buying, I'm hoping that you're cooked on that, kind of weak dismissal, because you need to understand that's key. That's key to where you go from here on. You don't understand that that's one of your breakout fights as far as your legacy is concerned. And you may not like the fact that it's with this younger fighter coming up, but that's just the reality. He's making noise just like you was making noise. And now you are the hunted. So what you gonna do, big sis? You gonna run this pride? Or you gonna let little sis, you know what I'm saying, come up and try to take your spot?
Yeah. And I think, if my memory serves me correct, that's her third. I thought it was her third fight with Derek. I know it's at least two, but it's her third. I think it was her third.
Okay.
It was her third fight for sure with
All right.
Derek.
So what's next for her? If she can't get those two, I don't know what weight division that tall ass girl is in, but there's this tall ass girl that fought this little short Mexican girl. God bless the Mexican girl's soul, because she's tried to stay in the fight as long as she could, but that tall girl was just way too tall. You know what I'm saying? She looked like a female version of Sebastian Fedora. I don't know what weight division the girl is in, and I don't know many of the female boxers' names off the top of my head that she could possibly face. That's why it really makes no sense to me, and it's extremely damaging that you would write off Coraline like that.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Maybe it'll be a demand, but I don't know. I think it's a way for her to get just another smaller fight name, but she was. This is what she did say. She said, "Yeah, I'm still learning. I'm still growing, and I'm gonna get better." I liked her. I liked what she said inside the ring. I just didn't like the whole, I mean, I guess she's supposed to try to son Caroline, but that's the fight as a fan that I want to see.
Yeah.
But with Ben saying he don't want, because David Morrell been calling him out, and he's saying he don't want David Morrell right now. He was like, "It's good. I'm the man because they calling me out." But he did say that he wants to fight in America. So if it ain't no David Morrell for Ben, what do you think about him and his next opponent?
As soon as he made those comments, I immediately went to Boxing Scene to see what the landscape looked like at 175 at 175 pounds. And the way him and Eddie was talking, Eddie is saying that within Ben Whittaker's next two fights, he's entitled contention. So then I had to go to the rankings and see, all right, where you rank. You're ranked number 5 in the IBF, right? You're ranked number 3 with the WBC, and you're ranked, where's he at again? With the WBO? He's ranked number 13th with the WBO. Here's one of the issues. As I look at it, him and David Morrell are only in the WBO, and David Morrell is sitting at the number 1 spot. Callum Smith is the interim. Dimitri Bivol is the champion. So for me, anything concerning the WBO and him being ranked number 13, that's not where they're looking to make their title run. When it comes to the WBC, you're ranked number 3 Buatsi is ahead of you, and Beterbiev is sitting in the number 1 spot, and David Benavidez holds that belt. You're nowhere near that. I don't even know why that ranking is even there, looking at where you are. I'm a big fan of yours, but that shit. Eddie would be crazy to throw you to the wolves like that. So the only area that makes sense is the IBF. And the IBF, you're ranked at number 5. And here's one of those things that you have to ask yourself: is this a mistake with boxing scene? Because the guy Ali Ismailov's record, he's 21-19-1, right? He was born May 8th, 1974. They have his age listed as 51 years old. He's 5'10". 41 bouts, 21 wins. He's been knocked out 15 times. This guy is ranked number 4 above Ben Whittaker. I don't know if that's a mistake. I don't know what that is. But he's sitting in that number 4 spot. The number 3 guy is 10-1 with an age of 31 years old. The number 2 guy, Connor Wallace, is 16-1, 30 years old. Right? And then you got Michael Eford, 13-1. 13-1, 28 years old. And Dmitry Bivol is the IBF champion. So looking at the way they're moving Conor Benn and trying to make him a superstar, and him just got his shoulders. I mean, not Conor Benn.
Whittaker.
Yeah, Ben Whittaker, and he's got his shoulders on the thing. Just showing he's a cool, relaxed bloke, totally under control. Got it all sorted out. Do you know what I mean? So looking at him, the IBF looks like the route they're going to move Ben Whittaker. It's the easiest route. Eddie Hearn can easily sell any of these fights as a domestic fight. In terms of Ben Whittaker's name recognition over these guys that are between him and Bivol, Ben Whittaker would be the superstar. So
you think that Eddie's gonna try to bring him over here to the States and fight one of them guys from across the pond?
No, I'm saying he's gonna have. Let me see this. So, do you think Eddie would put him in there with Najee Lopez, 16-0?
Not right now.
How do you have him versus Najee Lopez? At what percentage?
I don't know, because Najee can be hit, but he can also crack too. So that's right now, I don't know. I say it's 50-50 because Najee got more professional experience, but I think that the better skill set, the better technician is Ben. So that's a very, very interesting fight.
Exactly. And if you're going to put it on a big card in the U.S., that would let us know whether, Ben Whittaker is really at championship level. If we're looking at a name recognition of America, I don't know where where's Willie Hutchinson? Like,
he's not across the pond, but he good. I know Eddie ain't putting him in there with him.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, looking at the names, and could it be a Buatsi? Is Buatsi really that tender right now that Ben could look good with the recognized name and still sell a fight on the undercard of the card that he wants to put Ben on? being that Ben is not, I don't know if Ben would be the co-main or anything like that. If he's not the co-main, then you could put him against a domestic opponent here in the USA. You know what I'm saying? So it gets a little weird, but I would say the fight that if he's going to show up and make his US debut, I think the hardcore fans would probably hand down be like, yo, within your ranking system and within what you're claiming that you're trying to do, Najee Lopez might be your best bet.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, ain't gonna hold my breath, but I like it.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't want
I
it,
like
but
it.
I don't want to. But everybody else is either not worth it, or it'll look too obvious, or just way too much for him.
Yeah, we just gotta wait and see. We dealing with Eddie. You know, I played a hurry up and wait game with Eddie because him risking the biscuit. Nah.
He may pull somebody from 168 up. Who knows with Eddie?
Yeah, I heard a lot of outrageous talk about that too. I'm like, man, stop it. He need to fight people in the weight class because that fight was actually, he was 182 in that fight. He weighed 182 pounds in that fight. So they both did.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it was a contracted weight. You know, since it wasn't nothing major, they do that. Sometimes you might see a guy fighting at 142, 143 because that's the contracted weight, and they ain't gonna suck all the way down until something imperative. I don't mind those kind of fights, but he was 182 in that fight. So, you know, I'm thinking right now he'll probably be more prone to staying there than to moving up. Because if he ain't ready to take on the challenges down there with the guys that's like breathing down his neck, then he definitely ain't gonna be moving up no time soon. But you know, I think, you know, you buying them both, I'm holding, you know. I'm not selling, I'm holding. So I just want to see, you know, I want them to see, you know, they, with him being across the pond and Alicia being in the women's boxing market, they can maneuver this thing. They can get like 3 more fights before we even see him against somebody that we like, oh snap, y'all, they really about to get it on. Like, we in shock. Like when we found out who was going to fight. Like Pacheco, and when we found out Pacheco and
So Cold
was going to fight, we were like, what? They really doing? When we found out David Morrell and David Benavidez was going to fight, we was like, what? They really going to do that? So, you know, it might be 3 more fights before we actually see that from either one. But not bad. They shined. They did what they were supposed to do. Is there anything in the boxing landscape outside of that you want to touch on before we wrap it up?
No, I was just gonna wrap it up with just this little fun fact. Najee Lopez 26, Ben Whittaker 27, David Morrell 28.
Wow. They right there.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So Ben, ain't a lot of wiggle room for you, bro. You pretty much you probably got one, like Body say, I don't do possibles. I either got the book or I don't. You may be in that position right now where you just got that one book to make. And after that, everybody's gonna be like, all right, enough of this dude, bro. You know what I'm saying? We got to see you against somebody.
Yep. Yeah, if you want to if you're gonna keep it, if you're gonna maintain the interest of people over here,
yeah. That shit may sell in the UK. You being this domestic superstar, but over here, we're gonna have to see you against somebody. And right now, there are 2 candidates. You know what I'm saying? Both are dangerous, Lopez and Morrell. What you gonna do with them?
But you know what's interesting is, how would you see right now? You had to make a decision. with David Morrell and Najee Lopez right now?
Ooh, which one would I want to see, or them two fighting each other?
Them two fighting each other. Who you think, right at first glance, who you say gonna come out with their hand raised?
I can't say, bro. I can't say if in this mixture of all three of them. Well, you would lean more towards Morrell versus Ben Whittaker. Najee Lopez may be a little bit less, but people will probably lean more towards Najee as well. Yeah, so to look at David and Najee, that's one of those fights I don't know. That shit is so 50-50, so nitpickish. They both bring in that concussive power. I'm not sure of Najee Lopez's amateur career. I know David Morrell had an amateur career. That fight is close, bro. That fight is close. It's decimal points, point percentages. You know, a real plus or minus on how it goes, and that's whatever nitpick topic that you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, he does struggle with that a little bit. I did see the signs of it. Well, then it all depends on if he's, it's all gonna come down to, with that type of fight, that's like Beterbiev and Bivol. Who changed their windshield wipers? Who got them windshield wipers changed because they know that they'll be facing the storm?
Yeah. AC just dropped out for a second, but yeah, that's a picky one. I would, man, it's hard because Najee been growing. Najee got power. Najee been growing. He do get hit. But he is a dog, and he will bite down. And if he catch you, he gonna definitely finish. So that's interesting. A lot of people, or mainly somebody that was coming by the channel, they kept saying how David, he hasn't changed. He's not gonna change. That they believe that David is hype. I'm not sure. I think that it takes some getting used to, and like developing your amateur style, converting that over into the pros. Sometimes that take a long time. And you gotta remember, he was El Sicario. He was facing the mandatories for Canelo Alvarez when Canelo was ducking him too for like 3 years with the WBA. So he wasn't fighting no people that you can shake a stick at, and he put people in comas. He done blasted out people like David Morrell. Yeah, he did that, but David Benavidez, he did that, but that's David Benavidez. That's the Mexican monster, El Monstro. So, that speaks for itself. So that is an interesting fight. I probably would lean towards David Morrell right now because of the experience, but Najee can definitely win that fight. That's one where I'm like, man, I'm gonna look at the odds and might have to play that one both ways.
Yeah,
no Diddy, but yeah, that's interesting, man. Anything else that might have been out there?
You know what I'm appreciative of right now is the fact that this weekend's boxing gave the noise a break. The Boots and Xander noise a break. I don't know if it'll resume tomorrow, but it's enough meat on the bone to where people can talk about big fights at 175. Because it's starting to look like some things that happen. You got a bunch of killers there right now. In Benavidez, David Morrell, Najee Lopez, and we just got to see how Ben Whittaker turns out. Can he bring himself into that ethos of being recognized as them? He has the technical ability. He's shown it. He had the athleticism. He's shown it. But when we saw him really go through some adversity where he couldn't make the adjustment fast enough to deal with the guy that he was facing, we got a weird back injury, a fall, fight disqualified. Yes, you come back and you fix that game up and say, yeah, now I got to take this stuff serious. You know, we'll just see. You know what I'm saying? Your last two fights might have been the apology tour. Now you can step out and see what you got. But at the end of the day, man, this weekend of boxing, it had its upset. It had some rising stars. It showed on some levels that a guy, this is what you're supposed to do when you have economy-sized tomato cans. When you go to BJ's, you're supposed to crush those cans. But Alicia, yeah, you still got some stuff to work on. You're at the precipice of understanding certain things, and hopefully you can make that epiphany, cross that line or cross that threshold, and come into your own. Same thing with Ben. I would hope the same thing for other fighters like Shakur and Dev and even Boots, even Xander. I like all of these fighters. I may talk my shit about you when people need to get on your case about shit. But I wish the best that everybody goes in there and performs at their peak performance. This way, it entertains us. And even in the loss, people still be like, I don't give a shit that X amount of loss or who lost. That fight was just that good. Nobody should hold their head down. That was like, wow. I could watch that fight all day long. That's classic. That's Tommy Hearns and Marvin Hagler. So that's all we ask for. Win, lose, or draw, just entertain us. And that's where I land that plane, buddy. Great show, bro.
Word, man. I appreciate you coming through, man. And I know you got your eyes and ears. I spoke to you about something that I'm working on. I think that'll be a good segment to break up the monotony. But just been doing some rebranding and trying to, stay up with it, because you bring up a good point that it was good to get away from the noise. I didn't. And maybe it's funny because if they crank it back up tomorrow, I'm just gonna sit back and laugh, man. Because right now, according to YouTube, if Xander beat Boots, that's that's gonna be the biggest upset in YouTube in boxing history. So, I'm just like, just rip all of the equity and the value out of this fight. Why don't ya? But yeah, it was good. It was a sense of peace, aside from Clarissa and her shenanigans. I am going to start diving more into the Oshaki and the Ray Ford, because they've been going at it. It's getting chippy. It's not too far away. So I'm going to be having my eyes on that. We know what Brian Norman's doing with that guy, Josh, that Canadian. Guess he want to get his feet wet and see how he look with his new coach. So we got a lot of good fights coming up, man. I appreciate you coming through and chopping it up as always, man. I hope you enjoy your evening.
Yeah, you too, bro. Great show, man. And make sure everybody, y'all hit that like button, subscribe, comment. It goes a long way, man. This is the 300, and that's where I land that plane. And salute to everybody that's in the chat. 93 Octane, Aaron Jones. I know for a fact. Yep, there she is, Cookie Monster. Big salute to Cookie Monster, always with the check-in. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, bro, great show, man. On to the next one.
Man. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. You had another good one in the books. You know, I see you cooking in the chat, AJ. Hopefully you had a good work week, man. We're going into another one. You know, it was good. You know, boxers gave us something. It really showed us the landscape. You know, as always here lately, I've been saying that the only aspect of Jake Paul that I like is probably him when he has his promoter hat on. Some of the hyperbole he says and the character that he is, I don't agree with it. But as far as that promotion space and what he's able to do, he's living the American dream. I can't even hate or say nothing about it. You know, I don't like him as a boxer because I think it's, you know, he put in work, so he kind of earned the right to be able to say whatever, and getting in there with AJ, that kind of sealed the deal. And AJ, fortunately, AJ did what he was supposed to do. You know, he finished his food, cleared his plate, and got it straight with Jake. Not from State Farm. I'm talking about the Paul guy, aka the Fall guy. So it broke up the monotony, man, and broke my heart that AB is going to play the game with Caroline. I'm like, man, just go dust her off. But she's saying she got to do something. I don't know what she got to do, but I think that's a good scrap. I've seen enough in this last fight, and I think that Dubois got a stance almost like a dude. Oh, yeah. No, I ain't really done nothing, AJ, man. I've been chilling. I put out some shorts. I think you got a short out there, too, I believe. I want to say you do. If not, you'll have one here soon. Or something you said. But, Ben, if you a star, man, don't wait, man. Don't drag this out. Don't let Eddie, because what happens is, like I always say, when fighters start choosing, refusing, and being too selective with their opponents, they wind up getting in there with somebody that they shouldn't really have been in there with, and they wind up getting a poofy knocked off. You know, nobody foresaw. You know, I was hearing people say it was going to be a draw between Shadeja and that chick that she fought, Lonnie. They were saying a draw. Or, you know, just a decision, but they didn't see Shadeja knocking her out. I didn't hear anybody saying that Lonnie was going to knock her out. And that girl was in there, and you can tell she wasn't sleeping on no silk sheets. She looked like she was, you know, somewhere eating tuna fish out of a can. You know what I'm saying? The way she was on that ass. You know, we just got to be real, man. My heart goes out to Shadeja, the sweet Terminator. Speedy recovery. You know, speedy recovery, man. I hope all is well. She says she's doing better. And she's doing okay, and she'll be back and be better. So that was good, man. Clarissa, man, grow up. You know, we got to think about this, y'all. Rolly has matured more than Clarissa. Rolly behaves like he was an Olympian. You know, and I heard Clarissa one time had a nerve to dish Rolly because his father swam over here. I'm like, is this another, you know, thing that I can put in the rucksack to where when I do inventory and I go to talk about Clarissa, I'm like, I don't think I want to use that. Yeah, I'm not talking about Clarissa. Because this is Fruits and Veggies, not that Reggie, that fact-based content, not opinion-based, even though we have ours. Y'all see the brand. Y'all see the branding. You know, we're going to be the cure for these little hangovers and, you know, the lack of focus and being lethargic about the sport and not concentrating and all of that. We're going to be the cure for that. You know, we got a lot of products that's coming out, man, that's going to help the hardcore stay in love and stay focused on the main thing. You know, hopefully in this episode, you was able to put something in your rucksack and march on. We always say silence is consent, meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for men and women to remain silent. So we speak to the things that need to be spoken to in the sport. You know, we always say, go listen to everybody else. kick it, lay back, have your laugh, have your jokes, and then come over here and hear what we got to say about it. More than likely, it's gonna be some fruits and veggies. It's gonna be some real talk. It's it's gonna be straight up and down as possible. And even if we have a bias, we'll try to tell you that we got it. Like my southpaw bias, even though some of my favorite fighters are orthodox. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna try to keep it as close to the middle as possible. And we pride ourselves on saying things that need to be said in the sport. We are creative. We don't copy and paste. Support the channel. Super chat the channel. We monetize. Super chat the channel, man. Sometimes it's unmotivating to see other people benefit from your ideas and you don't. So I say, man, if you like the content, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. I think I need 3 more subscribers to meet my next goal. Not too long ago, we hit 950 uploads. And over the span of the time that I've been doing YouTube, and I practice quality over quantity, that was the next level. But we got these small little benchmarks. Just 3 people. If you're listening and you listen on a regular basis, it don't mean you agree with everything I say. It just means that, hey, they spoke facts on that. And whenever I'm talking about a boxer that you don't necessarily like or say something, skip out on that one. Feel free to take that episode off. You don't even got to click on and watch it. And then when I'm talking about somebody or we're talking about somebody that you actually like, come in and see what we got. You'll probably be shocked. You'll probably be surprised. You'll probably walk away looking like, I ain't never think about it like that. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of nutritional value on this channel, man, because it's a lot of salaciousness. It's a lot of gossip. It's a lot of characters out here. I give my real name, and this is Bodywork. And this platform is open to anybody with an opinion on boxing. I had YouTube take away my mute button, so I'm not going to mute you. And every now and again, things get a little spicy, and we'll turn it into a debate. You'll have your alone time to just get it in. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can go behind the woodshed, aka you versus you, up here on the screen. Y'all can hash it out. Only thing we won't allow is anything that's going to get the channel shut down. Because we need to sustain, man. We like that bookstore, that novelty bookstore. We're not like the McDonald's. We're not like the 7-Elevens. We don't try to be first. We qualify. We want to know the length, the width, the depth, the breadth, the buoyancy, the volume, the capacity of all these boxes, so we put them all on the scale when we talk about them. You know what I'm saying? We try to keep it all the way funky, 10 times 10. We can't do nothing more than that. Y'all know I can talk this boxing all day and all night, man. Hopefully y'all have a good work week, man. And we're going to come back with that hot fire, that hot Dylon, and Dylon. Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.